The cargo crates were heavy, but Ji-hoon had carried worse. He moved through the trading station with practiced efficiency, checking off items on his data pad. Station Meridian 7 wasn't much to look at, just another outpost on the edge of human space where traders stopped for supplies before the long haul back to civilization. The air smelled like recycled oxygen and machine oil, a scent Ji-hoon had grown used to over his 15 years as a cargo hauler. He was loading the last container when he felt it, that strange sensation of being watched. Ji-hoon had learned to trust his instincts out here in the black, where pirates and worse things lurked between the stars. He turned slowly, his hand moving toward the plasma cutter on his belt. Behind a stack of supply crates, two large eyes stared at him. They were luminous, like pearls catching light, set in a small face the color of a clear morning sky. The child couldn't have been more than waist-high to Ji-hoon, with delicate features and skin that seemed to shimmer slightly under the station's harsh lighting. Ji-hoon relaxed. Just a kid. An alien kid, sure, but still just a kid. He had seen Velth here before at various stations, though they usually kept to themselves. They were a quiet species, known for their love of art and history. This little one looked lost. "Hey there," Ji-hoon said softly, crouching down to seem less threatening. "You okay? Where are your parents?" The child's eyes widened. He looked scared, but also determined about something. After a moment of hesitation, the boy rushed forward with surprising speed and grabbed Ji-hoon's sleeve. "Mommy wants to go on a date," the child whispered urgently in broken standard, his accent thick but understandable. "Outing with you, human." Ji-hoon blinked. Of all the things he expected to hear today, that wasn't on the list. "What? Kid, I think you've got me confused with someone else." But the boy was already pulling him, surprisingly strong for such a small creature. "Please, please, Mommy hurt. Mommy needs strong human. You come. You come now." Something in the child's voice made Ji-hoon follow. They moved through the station's corridors, past groups of traders and station workers who gave them curious glances. The boy led him to the medical bay, a small facility that served the station's occasional emergencies. Inside, a female Veltier lay on a medical bed, her breathing shallow and uneven. She was taller than her son, but still smaller than most humans, with the same pale blue skin and delicate features. Medical sensors surrounded her, displaying vital signs that Ji-hoon didn't fully understand, but looked concerning. A human doctor was adjusting an IV line connected to her arm. "This your friend?" the doctor asked, looking up at Ji-hoon. "No, I just met the kid outside. What happened to her?" The doctor sighed. "Pirate attack 3 days ago. Her ship was destroyed near the Keltaris belt. She and the boy managed to get to an escape pod. A mining vessel picked them up and brought them here. She's stable now, but she's been drifting in and out of consciousness. The boy hasn't left her side except to look for help." Ji-hoon looked down at the child, who was now holding his hand tightly and staring up at him with those big, hopeful eyes. "Kid, I'm sorry about your mom, but I'm not a doctor. I can't help her." "Mommy said find strong human," the boy insisted. "Find protector. You have kind face, strong hands. You help us." "She said that? When she was conscious?" The doctor shook his head. "She's been feverish, saying things in her native language. The translator catches some of it. Something about needing to find someone trustworthy, someone to help them reach safety. The boy's been trying to interpret." Ji-hoon felt a weight settling on his shoulders. He looked at the woman on the bed, then at her son. The kid's clothes were torn and dirty, probably from the escape pod. There was a small cut on his cheek that had been treated but still looked painful. "Look," Ji-hoon said, "I'm sure station security can help you. They can contact Veltier diplomatic channels, get you home safely." "No home," the boy said quietly. "Ship gone. Everything gone. Only Mommy and me." The doctor pulled Ji-hoon aside. Station Command already tried contacting Velthir authorities. Turns out the attack wasn't random. Someone's looking for this woman specifically. They won't say why, but they want her and the boy kept safe until they can figure out what's going on. Problem is, this station isn't exactly a fortress. We're asking traders with ships if they can provide temporary transport. And you want me to take them? Your ship has the space, and you're heading toward the inner colonies anyway. That's where the nearest Velthir embassy is located. It would be a few weeks, maybe a month at most. Jihoon wanted to say no. He had learned the hard way that getting involved in other people's problems led to complications. 6 years ago, his entire crew had died because they responded to a distress call that turned out to be a trap. He had been working alone ever since, keeping his head down and his ship moving. But then he felt a small hand slip into his again. The boy was looking up at him with such trust, such hope, that Jihoon felt something crack in the walls he had built around himself. "Please," the boy whispered, "protect Mommy. I choose you for Mommy." "Kid, that's not how this works. Your mom doesn't even know me." "Mommy said find someone kind. You are kind. I see it." Jihoon closed his eyes and took a deep breath. He knew he was going to regret this. "How long until she wakes up?" "Could be hours, could be days," the doctor said. "The trauma was significant, but her species is resilient. She'll recover." "Fine," Jihoon heard himself say. "Fine. I'll take them as far as the inner colonies. But that's it. Once we reach a proper embassy, they're their problem, not mine." The boy's face lit up like a star going nova. He hugged Jihoon's leg tightly. "Thank you, thank you. I tell Mommy I found someone good for her. She will be so happy." "Whoa, hold on. I'm just giving you a ride, kid. Nothing else." But the boy wasn't listening. He was already chattering away in his own language, holding his mother's hand and speaking to her unconscious form with excited gestures toward Jihoon. The doctor smiled. "You know, in Velthir culture, accepting responsibility for a family unit in crisis has some interesting implications." "What kind of implications?" "Let's just say you might want to read up on their courtship customs." Jihoon felt a sense of doom settling over him. What did I just agree to? The doctor patted his shoulder. "Something interesting, I'd say. Come on, let's get them transferred to your ship. The boy's name is Kale, by the way. The mother is Nalira." As station workers prepared to move Nalira to Jihoon's vessel, Kale stayed close to him, his small hand never leaving Jihoon's. The boy kept looking up at him with such trust and gratitude that Jihoon felt his carefully maintained solitude beginning to crumble. He had survived alone for 6 years. He had convinced himself that was how it had to be. But now, with this small alien child depending on him and his injured mother being loaded onto his ship, Jihoon wondered if the universe had other plans. "Come on, kid," he said gruffly, trying to hide the emotion in his voice. "Let's get your mom settled in, and for the record, I'm not dating anybody. We're just going to get you to safety. That's all." Kale smiled up at him, a smile that somehow looked both innocent and knowing. "Mommy will like you. I am good at choosing." Jihoon had a feeling his simple, quiet life was about to get very complicated. The ship hummed quietly as it moved through space, a sound Jihoon had found comforting for years. Now, though, the silence felt different. He wasn't alone anymore. In the small medical bay he had converted from a storage room, Nalira lay sleeping in the recovery pod. Her vital signs were stable according to the monitors, but she hadn't woken up yet. It had been 3 days since they left Station Meridian 7. Kyle, on the other hand, was very much awake. The boy followed Jihoon everywhere. When Jihoon checked the navigation systems, Kale stood beside him, watching with curious eyes. When Jihoon prepared meals, Kale sat at the small table asking questions about every ingredient and utensil. When Jihoon tried to sleep, he would wake up to find Kale sitting outside his door, keeping watch. "Kid, you need to sleep in your own quarters. Jihoon said for the fourth time that week. I'm fine. Your mom's fine. The ship's fine. Everyone's fine. I must protect Mommy, Kale replied seriously. And you. You are ours now. I'm not yours. I'm just the guy driving the ship. But Kale smiled like he knew a secret Jihoon didn't. The language barrier was slowly improving. Kale was a fast learner, picking up standard words quickly. He taught Jihoon a few Velthir phrases in return, though Jihoon's tongue struggled with the musical quality of the language. They fell into a routine of sorts. Mornings meant checking on Nalira and running ship diagnostics. Afternoons were for meals and what Kale called learning time, where the boy asked endless questions about humans and human culture. Why do humans eat cooked food? Kale asked one day, poking at the heated ration pack Jihoon had given him. Because raw food can make us sick. Cooking kills bad things in the food. Velthir can eat raw. Our stomachs are strong. Well, good for you. I like my food hot anyway. Kyle took a careful bite, made a face, then took another. It is strange, but not bad. I will learn to like human food. For Mommy. What does your mom have to do with you eating human food? When Mommy wakes, she will need to know human ways. If we stay with you, we must learn. We're not staying together, Kale. I'm taking you to the embassy, remember? The boy's face fell slightly, but he nodded. Yes, but maybe Mommy will want to stay anyway. She needs someone strong. This again. Jihoon had tried to explain multiple times that he wasn't interested in any kind of relationship, romantic or otherwise. But Kale seemed determined to believe his mother and Jihoon were destined for something more than a temporary arrangement. On the fifth day, station protocol required Jihoon to check in with Meridian 7. The communication officer appeared on his screen, a middle-aged woman named Officer Hyejin who had processed his departure paperwork. Park Jihoon, checking in. Status is all clear. Passengers are stable. Glad to hear it, Hyejin said, but her expression was serious. Listen, I need to give you a heads up. We've had some inquiries about your passengers. Jihoon's hand tensed on the controls. What kind of inquiries? The unofficial kind. 3 different ships have docked here in the past 2 days, all asking about Velthir refugees. We played dumb, but these people aren't stupid. They'll figure out eventually that someone took Nalira and her son off station. Pirates? Mercenaries, most likely. Well-funded ones. Whatever that woman has or knows, someone wants it badly. Jihoon glanced over his shoulder. Kyle was in the medical bay with his mother, reading her a story from a datapad in their native language. Any advice? Keep your head down and don't stop at any stations until you reach the inner colonies. I'm forwarding you a list of safe harbors, places with actual security. And Jihoon, watch your back. The transmission ended. Jihoon sat in silence for a moment, processing the information. He had known something was off about the attack on Nalira's ship, but he hadn't realized it was this serious. What could a cultural historian possibly have that mercenaries would want? He needed answers, but those would have to wait until Nalira woke up. That happened sooner than expected. On the 7th day, Jihoon was running a maintenance check on the engine when Kale came running down the corridor, his eyes wide with excitement. She's awake? Mommy's awake? Jihoon dropped his tools and followed the boy back to the medical bay. Nalira was sitting up in the recovery pod looking disoriented but conscious. Her eyes met Jihoon's, and he was struck by how intelligent they looked, even clouded with confusion. She spoke in her own language, her voice soft and melodic. Kale responded quickly, gesturing to Jihoon and speaking rapidly. Nalira's eyes widened, and she looked at Jihoon with what appeared to be surprise and embarrassment. She wants to know who you are, Kale translated. I told her you are the strong human I chose for her. Kale, we talked about this, Jihoon said tiredly. But Nalira was already speaking again, this time in heavily accented standard. You Saved us? Took us on your ship? Something like that. You were hurt. Station didn't have the facilities to keep you safe. I'm taking you to the inner colonies where there's a Velthir embassy. I am grateful, she said, bowing her head slightly. But I must understand. My son says he chose you for me. What does this mean? Ji-hoon shot Kyle a look. The boy suddenly found the floor very interesting. It's a misunderstanding. Your son heard you asking for help when you were feverish. He interpreted it as looking for, well, a date. I'm just providing transport. Nalira's pale blue skin seemed to darken slightly, which Ji-hoon guessed was the Velthir equivalent of blushing. She spoke sharply to Kale in their language, and the boy replied defensively. A back-and-forth conversation happened that Ji-hoon couldn't follow, but he could read the body language. Mother was embarrassed. Son was insistent. Finally, Nalira turned back to Ji-hoon. I apologize. My son misunderstood my words. I asked him to find someone trustworthy if something happened to me. Someone who could help us reach safety. He is young and thought I meant something else. It's fine. Kids say the darndest things. However, Nalira continued, her expression becoming more serious, there is a complication. In Velthir culture, when you accepted responsibility for both myself and my child, especially in my absence, you have performed what we call the first guardian act. It is significant. How significant? It is the first step in a formal courtship process. Ji-hoon felt like someone had punched him in the gut. Wait, what? By Velthir law and custom, you have declared your intention to court me and accept my family unit. It is considered a binding commitment. I didn't know. Nobody told me. I understand, and I do not hold you to this. Once we reach the embassy, I will formally release you from any obligation. But until then, my people would consider us, how do humans say, engaged, to be engaged. Kale clapped his hands happily. See? I told you, Mommy likes you. Kale, Nalira said sharply. I'm not trying to court anyone, Ji-hoon said firmly. I'm just trying to get you both to safety. After that, we go our separate ways. Nalira nodded, though something flickered in her eyes. Sadness? Disappointment? I understand, and I truly am grateful for your help, regardless of the cultural implications. An alarm suddenly blared through the ship. Ji-hoon ran to the cockpit with Kale and Nalira right behind him. On the scanner, 3 ships were approaching fast, their transponders showing no identification. Are those the people who attacked you? Ji-hoon asked. Nalira studied the scanner, her expression grim. Yes, they found us. Hold on, Ji-hoon said, his hands flying over the controls. This is going to get rough. As the ship lurched into evasive maneuvers, Kale grabbed his mother's hand. See, Mommy? He will protect us. I chose well. Nalira looked at Ji-hoon as he piloted the ship with intense concentration, dodging plasma fire from their pursuers. She whispered something in her own language that Kale translated with a small smile. Mommy says maybe I did choose well after all. Ji-hoon didn't have time to respond. The ships were gaining on them, and he needed every bit of his skill to keep them alive. Whatever Nalira knew or had, it was worth killing for. And somehow, Ji-hoon had made himself responsible for protecting it. His quiet, solitary life was definitely over. Plasma fire streaked past the viewport, close enough that Ji-hoon could see the red glow against the black of space. He pushed the ship hard to starboard, feeling the old girl strain under the pressure. She wasn't built for combat, but she was fast when she needed to be. Strap in, he shouted over the alarm systems. Nalira had already secured Kale into one of the passenger seats and was buckling herself in with practiced efficiency. Her hands moved over the secondary control panel in front of her. I can help. I know these ships. You know how to operate human systems? Velthir studied many species. I can read the basic functions. Where is your defensive grid? Bottom left panel. But we don't have much in the way of weapons. Just some mining charges and a pulse emitter that's older than I am. It will have to be enough. The ship shook as one of the pursuing vessels got a glancing hit on their rear shields. Warning lights flashed red across the console. Jihoon checked their options. They were still 2 days from the nearest station, and their faster-than-light drive needed time to charge, time they didn't have. "Why are they after you?" Jihoon asked, pulling the ship into a spiral pattern that made his stomach lurch. "I will explain later. First, we must survive." Fair point. Nalira's fingers moved across the controls, and suddenly, one of the mining charges deployed behind them. The closest pursuing ship tried to dodge, but clipped the charge. The explosion was small, but enough to damage their forward sensors. The ship fell back, trailing sparks. "Nice shot," Jihoon said. "There are still 2 more." Kyle was crying quietly in his seat, scared but trying to be brave. Nalira spoke softly to him in their language, words that Jihoon guessed were meant to comfort. The boy nodded and gripped his safety harness tighter. The 2 remaining ships split up, trying to flank them. Jihoon recognized the tactic. They were herding him toward a specific heading. "They're trying to push us somewhere. Any idea where?" Nalira checked the star charts. "The Corrales Field. It's an asteroid cluster. Difficult to navigate. And easy to trap someone in." Jihoon made a decision. "Hold on. I'm going into the field." "That is suicide. So is letting them hurt us, at least in the field. I have options." He turned the ship sharply and accelerated toward the asteroid cluster. The 2 pursuing ships hesitated, then followed. Jihoon took them deep into the field, weaving between massive space rocks with gaps that seemed impossibly narrow. His hands were steady on the controls, years of experience guiding him. One of the pursuing ships wasn't as skilled. It clipped an asteroid and spun out, disappearing into the darkness of space. The last ship stayed with them, determined and dangerous. "They're charging weapons for a full barrage," Nalira said, reading the sensor data. "They will destroy us." "Not if I can help it. See that large asteroid at 10 o'clock? "Yes." "When I say now, deploy all remaining charges in a spread pattern behind us. That will leave us defenseless. Trust me." Jihoon pushed the ship harder, heading straight for the massive asteroid. The pursuing ship followed, confident now that they had them trapped. Just before they would have crashed into the rock, Jihoon pulled up hard, using the asteroid's gravity to slingshot around it. "Now!" he shouted. Nalira deployed the charges. The pursuing ship, moving too fast to dodge, flew right into them. The explosions caught it broadside, and it went spinning into the asteroid field, dead in space. Jihoon let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. "Everyone okay?" "Yes," Nalira said, her voice shaky. "That was incredible piloting." "Yeah, well, I've had practice running from bad situations." He set the autopilot and turned to face her. "Now, you want to tell me why mercenaries are trying to kill you?" Nalira unbuckled and went to check on Kyle. The boy was pale but unharmed. She held him close for a moment, then turned to Jihoon. "I am a cultural historian, as I told the station, but I was also entrusted with something by my government. Coordinates." "Coordinates to what?" "An archive world, a planet where my people stored knowledge from hundreds of civilizations, including many that are now extinct. Technology, history, art, science, it is priceless. And someone wants it. Many would want it. The wrong people with that knowledge could shift the balance of power in the galaxy. My ship was carrying falsified data to throw off anyone who might try to steal the real coordinates. But they discovered the deception and attacked us." "Where are the real coordinates?" Nalira tapped the side of her head. "In here. I memorized them and destroyed all physical records." Jihoon rubbed his face. "So you're carrying the location of galaxy-altering knowledge in your head, and I just became your bodyguard. Great. Just great. I did not ask for this burden." Nalira said quietly. I was given this mission because I was trusted, because I would protect the archive with my life. I never thought my son would be in danger because of it. Kyle spoke up in Standard, his voice small. Is it my fault? Because I asked Mommy to bring me on her ship? No, sweetheart, Nalira said, switching to Standard so Jihoon could understand. This is not your fault. Bad people make bad choices. That is their fault, not yours. Jihoon checked their systems. The faster-than-light drive was almost charged, but they had taken damage. We need repairs. I'm bringing us down on the nearest habitable planet. Haven's Edge is 3 hours away. Small colony, but they have repair facilities. Will we be safe there? Safer than in space. Those ships might have sent our position before we took them out. More could be coming. They traveled in tense silence until Haven's Edge appeared on their view screen. It was a rough-looking world, mostly desert and rock, with a few areas of vegetation around water sources. The colony was built near one of these oases, a collection of prefabricated buildings and old landing pads that had seen better days. Jihoon brought the ship down with a gentle touch despite the damage. As they powered down, a voice crackled over the communication system. Unidentified vessel, this is Haven's Edge Control. State your business. This is Cargo Hauler Wanderer. Need repairs and supplies. Got the credits to pay. Any weapons? Mining charges. Standard pulse emitter. Nothing heavy. Colonies open to traders. Base 7 is available. But we don't want trouble, understand? No trouble from us. Just need a few days. Copy that. Welcome to Haven's Edge, such as it is. Jihoon guided the ship into Base 7 and shut down the engines. The sudden silence felt strange after hours of alarm systems and weapons fire. He turned to find Nalira watching him with an expression he couldn't quite read. Thank you, she said simply, for saving our lives. You could have left us at the station. Yeah, well, I'm starting to wonder about my decision-making skills. But he said it with a slight smile. Kyle, recovered from his fear now that they were safely on the ground, bounced over to Jihoon. You flew like a corvan bird, fast and clever, Mommy. Did you see how he flew? I saw, Nalira said, and there was something warm in her voice. He is indeed skilled. Stop that, Jihoon said, but without real heat. Both of you, stop looking at me like that. Like what? Nalira asked innocently. Like I'm some kind of hero. I'm just a guy with a ship who's trying not to get killed. A guy with a ship who saved us twice now, Nalira corrected. By human standards and Velthir standards, that makes you extraordinary. Jihoon felt his face heat up. He wasn't used to compliments, and he definitely wasn't used to having a beautiful alien woman look at him like he was something special. I'm going to check the damage. You two stay in the ship until I figure out if this place is secure. As he walked away toward the cargo bay, he heard Kale whisper loudly to his mother in Standard. See? He is embarrassed by praise. That means he is humble. You like humble, Mommy. Hush, child. But you do like him. I can tell. Jihoon pretended he didn't hear that. But as he inspected the damaged hull plating, he found himself thinking about Nalira's eyes, about the way she had worked alongside him during the fight, about how natural it felt to have them both on his ship. He was in trouble. Not just from the mercenaries, from something much more dangerous to a man who had sworn to stay alone. Haven's Edge looked better from the ground than it did from space, but not by much. The colony was a mix of old Earth-style buildings and newer modular structures, all coated in a layer of red dust from the desert winds. About 300 people called this place home. Mostly human miners and traders with a handful of other species mixed in. It wasn't fancy, but it felt honest, real. The repair estimate took Jihoon's mood from bad to worse. The chief mechanic, a gruff woman named Somin with oil-stained hands and sharp eyes, gave him the news while sucking air through her teeth. 3 days minimum. Your rear shield generator is shot, and you've got microfractures in the hull plating from those asteroid dodges. I can fix it, but it won't be cheap." "How much?" she told him. Jihoon winced. "That's half my savings." "That's the price of quality work. You want it done fast and done right? That's what it costs. Unless you want to limp to the next station and risk hull breach in deep space." "Fine, do it." Soman nodded. "Smart choice. You and your family can stay at the lodge while you wait. Dae-hyun runs it. Tell him I sent you. He owes me a favor." "They're not my family," Jihoon said automatically. Soman gave him a look that said she didn't believe him for a second. "Sure, whatever you say." Back at the ship, Nalira had changed from her tattered clothes into a simple outfit she had found in the station's charity box before they left. She looked more comfortable now, more herself. Kale wore a too-big human jacket that made him look even smaller than he was. 3 days, Jihoon told them. "We're stuck here until repairs are done. There's a place we can stay." "Is it safe?" Nalira asked. "Safer than space. This colony has a decent security system, and the people here mind their own business mostly. But stay close to me, just in case." The lodge was a 2-story building with rooms that were small but clean. Dae-hyun, the owner, was a friendly man in his 60s who did indeed owe Somin a favor. He gave them 2 adjacent rooms at a discount and threw in free breakfast. "Haven't seen Veltir here in years," Dae-hyun said, studying Nalira and Kale with friendly curiosity. "Welcome to Haven's Edge. It's not much, but it's home." "It is peaceful," Nalira said. "We appreciate the hospitality. Any friend of Soman's is a friend of mine. You folks need anything, you just ask." That evening, Kyle was restless. He had been cooped up on the ship for over a week, and now that they were somewhere relatively safe, he wanted to explore. He looked at Jihoon with pleading eyes. "Can we see the town? Please. I have never been to a human colony before." Jihoon was about to say no, but Nalira spoke first. "I would like to see it as well. If it is safe." "It's safe enough, but stay close." They walked through the colony as the sun set, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. Kyle was fascinated by everything: the human children playing a game with a ball in the street, the food vendors selling grilled meat and vegetables that smelled amazing, the music coming from a small bar where miners were relaxing after a long day. A vendor selling sweet cakes caught Kyle's attention. The boy stopped and stared at the colorful treats with obvious desire. Jihoon bought 3 without thinking, handing one to Kyle and one to Nalira. Kyle took a bite and his eyes went wide. "It is sweet, like singing in my mouth." Nalira tasted hers more carefully, then smiled. "It is good, very good. Thank you, Jihoon." It was the first time she had used his name, and hearing it in her accent made something warm unfold in his chest. "It's just cake." "It is kindness," she corrected gently. They found a bench near a small fountain and sat down. Kyle ran off to watch the water, staying close enough that they could see him, but far enough to give them privacy. Nalira watched her son with a soft expression. "He seems happy," Jihoon said. "He has been through much trauma. But children are resilient. He bounces back faster than I do." "What about you? How are you holding up?" Nalira was quiet for a moment. "I am afraid. Not for myself, but for him. He is innocent in all of this. He should be in school, playing with friends, learning about the world. Instead, he is running from mercenaries and living on a cargo ship. He seems to like the cargo ship." "He likes you," Nalira said, turning to look at Jihoon. "He has grown attached very quickly." "Kids do that sometimes." "Not Kale. He is usually shy with strangers. But with you, he feels safe. He trusts you." "I haven't done much. Just given you a ride and tried not to get everyone killed." "You have done more than you know," Nalira said softly. "In Veltir culture, there is a saying, The measure of a person is not in their words, but in their actions when no one is watching. You could have left us at that station. You could have turned us over to those mercenaries to save yourself. But you did not. You chose to help, even knowing it would bring danger. I'm not a hero, Nalira. No. You are better. You are a good person who does not realize how good he is. Ji-hoon felt uncomfortable under her gaze. He changed the subject. Tell me about your home world. What's it like? Nalira's expression softened with memory. It is beautiful. Cities that look like they grew from the ground rather than being built. We value harmony with nature. Our art focuses on preserving moments, capturing the essence of things that might be lost. I became a historian because I wanted to preserve not just Velthir culture, but all cultures. Every species has beauty to offer. Even humans? Especially humans, she said with a smile. Your people are fascinating. You adapt to anything. You never give up. You form bonds with anyone, regardless of species. Other civilizations keep to themselves, but humans, you reach out. You build bridges. It is remarkable. We're also stubborn and reckless. Yes, but that stubbornness keeps you fighting when others would surrender. That recklessness lets you try impossible things and sometimes succeed. They sat in comfortable silence, watching Kale play in the fountain spray. The boy was laughing, truly happy for the first time since Ji-hoon had met him. Around them, the colony came alive with evening activity. Music drifted from the bar, and people greeted each other with easy familiarity. I like this place, Nalira said. It feels like home somehow. It's rough around the edges. So are the best things. Ji-hoon looked at her and found her looking back. For a moment, something passed between them, an understanding, a possibility. Then Kale came running back, soaked from the fountain and grinning. Did you see me? Did you see how high the water went? We saw, Nalira said, laughing. You are completely wet. It was fun. Can we come back tomorrow? We will see. As they walked back to the lodge, Kale walked between them, holding both their hands. To anyone watching, they looked like a family. Ji-hoon tried not to think about how natural it felt. How right. Later that night, after Kyle was asleep, Ji-hoon stood on the balcony of his room, looking at the stars. He heard the door to the adjacent room open, and Nalira stepped onto her balcony. They were separated by only a meter of space. Cannot sleep? She asked. Too much thinking? About the mercenaries? About everything. A week ago, my life was simple. Now I'm protecting you from people who want to steal galaxy-changing knowledge, and somehow I've accidentally entered a Velthir courtship ritual. I told you I will release you from that obligation. I know. It's just weird. All of it. Nalira was quiet for a moment. May I ask you something personal? Sure. Why were you alone? You are clearly capable of having a crew, of having friends. But the station records showed you have worked alone for many years. Why? Ji-hoon gripped the balcony railing. I had a crew once. 6 years ago. We responded to a distress call. It was a trap. Pirates killed everyone except me. I barely escaped. I am sorry. After that, I decided being alone was safer. Can't lose people if you don't let anyone get close. That is a lonely way to live. Lonely, but safe. Is it? Nalira asked. Is it really safe? Or is it just slow death of a different kind? Ji-hoon didn't have an answer to that. My husband died 4 years ago, Nalira said quietly. Not in battle, an illness. I watched him fade slowly, unable to save him. After he was gone, I focused everything on my work and raising Kyle. I told myself I did not need anyone else. But I was wrong. Isolation is not strength. It is fear wearing a different face. So what do? We live, Nalira said simply. We try. We let people in, even when it is scary, because the alternative is not really living at all. They stood in silence, two people who had lost too much, considering the possibility of finding something again. The desert wind blew gently, carrying the smell of distant rain. "For what it is worth," Nalira said, "I am glad Kale chose you, even if it was by accident." "Yeah," Jihoon said quietly. "Me too." The second day at Haven's Edge started peacefully. Jihoon woke to the smell of something cooking, which was unusual since he normally ate ration bars for breakfast. He found Kale in the lodge's common kitchen, attempting to make what he called morning fuel with ingredients from the local market. "I am learning human cooking," Kale announced proudly, holding up something that looked like scrambled eggs but was slightly purple. "Daehyun helped me. It looks interesting. Try it. I made it for you and Mommy." Jihoon took a bite. It was actually pretty good, if you ignored the color. "Not bad, kid. Not bad at all." Kyle beamed. Nalira appeared a moment later, looking more rested than Jihoon had seen her. She tried the breakfast and praised her son in their language, making the boy glow with pride. They spent the morning exploring more of the colony. Salmon was making progress on the ship repairs, but the work was detailed and couldn't be rushed. Jihoon found himself not minding the delay as much as he thought he would. There was something about this place, or maybe about the company, that felt good. They were at the market when the alarms went off. Colony-wide sirens blared, and people started moving with practiced urgency toward designated shelter points. Jihoon grabbed Kale's hand, and Nalira pressed close as they tried to figure out what was happening. A voice boomed over the emergency speakers. "Unidentified ships approaching. All residents to shelters. Security teams to stations. This is not a drill." Jihoon's blood ran cold. He pulled Nalira and Kyle toward the nearest shelter, but stopped when he saw Somin running toward the colony's command center instead of toward safety. "Somin, what's happening?" "3 ships just dropped out of FTL at the edge of the system. Big ones. They're broadcasting a message demanding we hand over 2 Veltier refugees or they'll attack the colony." She looked at Nalira. "They're here for you." Nalira's face went pale. No, they cannot do this. This colony has done nothing wrong." "Tell that to them. Colony chief is trying to negotiate, but it doesn't look good. These aren't merchants or traders. These are professional mercenaries." "How long do we have?" Jihoon asked. "Maybe an hour before they're in firing range. Maybe less." "What are the colony's defenses?" "Old mining lasers converted to defensive turrets. A shield generator that's been patched more times than I can count, and about 40 people who know how to shoot but aren't soldiers." So-Min's expression was grim. "We can't win against 3 military-grade ships." "Then we give them what they want," someone said. Jihoon turned to see Daehyun approaching, along with several other colonists. "We hand over the Veltier. It's not personal. It's survival." "You cannot be serious," So-Min said. "We don't hand people over to mercenaries." "We do if it means saving 300 lives." Nalira stepped forward, her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. "He is right. I will go, but please protect my son. Find a way to get him to the Veltier embassy. He is innocent in this." "No!" Kale cried, grabbing his mother. "I will not leave you." "Kale, you must—" "Nobody's handing anyone over," Jihoon interrupted. His voice was hard, harder than it had been in years. "These people come to a civilian colony and threaten innocent people? That's not happening." "You got a better plan?" Daehyun demanded. "Yeah, we fight. We can't win. Maybe not. But we can make them regret coming here. Humans don't surrender. We don't give up our own. These people are under our protection now, whether we planned it or not." Something changed in the crowd. Jihoon saw it in their faces. The fear was still there, but now it was mixed with something else. Determination. Pride. So-Min smiled grimly. "Knew there was a reason I liked you. You got experience with this kind of thing? Some. 6 years ago, I learned how to run from these situations. Today, I'm going to learn how to stand and fight. What do you need? Jihoon's mind was racing, pulling together every trick he had learned in 15 years of space travel. First, we need to know exactly what we're facing. Can you scan those ships? One of the colonists, a young man named Minwoo who worked communications, pulled up data on his portable scanner. 3 ships. 2 are Corvette class, probably used for intimidation and troop transport. The third is bigger, a modified freighter with serious weapons. That's their command ship. How's their shielding? Military grade on the command ship. The Corvettes have standard deflectors. And our defenses? Like Soman said, 4 mining lasers and a shield generator, plus whatever personal weapons we have. Jihoon looked at Nalira. You said you know these ships, how they operate, their tactics. Yes, the leader is someone named Vorath. He is known for being ruthless but predictable. He uses overwhelming force and expects quick surrender. Then we don't give him what he expects. Can those mining lasers be overcharged? Soman caught on to what he was thinking. For a short burst, yeah. They'd burn out after, but we could get maybe 3 high-power shots. That's all we need. Here's what we're going to do. For the next 40 minutes, the colony became a hive of organized chaos. Jihoon coordinated with the security team, positioning people at key points. Soman and her mechanics rigged the mining lasers for overcharge. Minwoo set up false signals to confuse the mercenary sensors. Nalira worked with the communications team, using her knowledge of mercenary protocols to predict their approach patterns. Even Kale helped, running messages between different teams faster than any comm system. The 3 ships came into range right on schedule. A transmission came through, and a face appeared on every screen in the colony. He was Kralik species, reptilian features and cold eyes. This was Vorath. Colony Haven's Edge. I am looking for 2 Veltir refugees. A female named Nalira and her child. Surrender them within 10 minutes, and we leave peacefully. Refuse, and we will take what we want by force. The colony chief, a tough woman named Soon-hee, responded. This is a civilian colony under Galactic Treaty protection. Your attack would be a violation of... I am aware of the treaties. I am also aware they mean nothing out here. 10 minutes. The transmission cut. Jihoon stood at the main defensive position with Somin, Minwoo, and a dozen other colonists. Nalira insisted on being there too, despite Jihoon's protests. Kyle was in the deepest shelter with the other children. Guarded by the colonists, too old to fight, but still capable of protecting them. Everyone ready? Jihoon asked. Nods all around. Soon he activated the colony-wide comm. This is the colony chief. These mercenaries think they can threaten us, think they can take what's ours. Well, I got news for them. We're human. We don't scare easy, and we don't abandon people who need help. Today we show them what happens when you mess with Haven's Edge. A cheer went up from the colonists. It wasn't confident. It wasn't fearless. But it was determined. The mercenary ships moved closer. The corvettes split up, flanking the colony while the command ship came in from the front. Textbook intimidation tactics. Wait for it, Jihoon murmured. Wait! The command ship entered optimal range for the overcharged mining lasers. Now! 3 beams of concentrated energy lanced out from the colony's defensive positions. Somin had done her job perfectly. All 3 struck the command ship's forward shields, overloading them in a cascade failure. The ship staggered, shields down, temporarily vulnerable. All small arms, target that command ship, soon he ordered. Dozens of plasma rifles and pulse weapons opened fire. They weren't powerful enough to destroy the ship, but they damaged sensors and weapon mounts. The command ship retreated, shields slowly regenerating. They weren't expecting that, Nalira said, watching the tactical display with a grim satisfaction. First rule of being human, Jihoon replied. When someone expects you to roll over, you bite back. But the corvettes were adapting. They moved in, weapons charging. The colony's shield generator strained as plasma fire rained down. Warning lights flashed. "Shields at 60%, Minwoo reported. "We can't take much more of this." Jihoon had planned for this. "Summon, kill the shield generator." "What?" "Trust me, kill it." She hesitated only a second before shutting down the generator. The corvettes, seeing the shields drop, moved in for the kill. That's what Jihoon wanted. "Deploy the charges!" Weeks ago, the colony had been doing mining operations. They still had industrial explosives stored in the perimeter, charges that were now positioned exactly where the corvettes would move to for a close attack. Minwoo triggered them remotely. The explosions weren't enough to destroy the ships, but they damaged engines and weapons. One corvette went spinning off course. The other pulled back. Trailing smoke, the command ship, shields now back up, moved forward. But it was angry now, not tactical. Vorath's voice came over the comm, furious. "You dare! You insignificant colony of vermin! I will level this place and everyone in it!" Big talk from someone who just got his nose bloodied by miners. Soon he shot back. The command ship charged weapons for a full bombardment. This was it. They had bought time and inflicted damage, but now came the moment of truth. The ship could level the colony, and there was nothing they could do to stop it. Then 3 new signatures appeared on the scanner. "Ships dropping out of FTL," Minwoo reported, his voice rising with hope. They're human patrol vessels. They received our distress call." The cavalry had arrived. The human patrol vessels were smaller than the mercenary command ship, but they were purpose-built for combat, and their crews were trained military. More importantly, they were humans coming to help other humans. The pack bond that other species found so strange was on full display. "Mercenary vessels, this is Lieutenant Yoonji Park of the Human Defense Fleet. You are engaging a civilian colony in violation of Galactic Treaty 7. Stand down immediately or we will consider you hostile combatants." Vorath's response was predictable. He tried to run. The damaged corvettes scattered, but the command ship, still combat-capable, attempted to jump to FTL. The patrol vessels blocked the escape route with precision coordination that spoke of years working together. "Target their drive systems," Lieutenant Park ordered. "I want them disabled. Not destroyed. We need prisoners for questioning." The brief battle that followed was professional and efficient. The mercenaries were outmatched and outmaneuvered. Within 15 minutes, all 3 ships were disabled and boarding parties were securing them. On the ground, Haven's Edge erupted in celebration. Colonists hugged each other, laughing and crying with relief. Some were injured from the battle, but none seriously. They had faced down professional mercenaries and survived. Jihoon found himself surrounded by grateful colonists, but he was looking for Nalira and Kyle. He found them near the shelter entrance. Kyle ran to him and wrapped his arms around Jihoon's waist. "You did it! You saved everyone!" "We all did it together, kid." Nalira approached more slowly, her eyes shining with something Jihoon couldn't quite name. "You kept your promise. You protected us. You protected everyone." "Just another day in paradise," Jihoon said, trying to downplay it. But his hands were shaking now that the adrenaline was wearing off. He had been terrified the entire time, certain they would all die. The fact that they had won felt almost unreal. Lieutenant Park landed her shuttle at the colony an hour later. She was in her 40s, with sharp eyes and the kind of calm authority that came from experience. After getting a report from Soon-hee, she asked to speak with Nalira privately. Jihoon insisted on being there, and Nalira agreed. They met in Soon-hee's office, a cramped room that had become an impromptu command center. Lieutenant Park studied Nalira with professional interest. "So you're the one they're after. Must be something pretty valuable to bring 3 ships to a backwater colony." "It is knowledge," Nalira said. "Coordinates to an archive world. a place where civilizations have stored their most important discoveries, history, and technology. The wrong people with access to that knowledge could destabilize the galactic balance of power. And you're carrying this information in your head. Yes. Sounds like you need protection. Official protection. The kind that comes with military escorts and diplomatic immunity. That would be ideal, Nalira said carefully. But such protection comes with expectations, yes? Your government would want access to the archive. Probably, though that's above my pay grade. What I can do is get you safely to the Galactic Council headquarters. Let the diplomats and politicians figure out the rest. Ji-hoon spoke up. That's where we were heading anyway before those mercenaries caught up to us. Good plan. We'll escort you the rest of the way. Should take about a week with our ships. No one's going to mess with a military convoy. Lieutenant Park stood. Get your things together. We leave in 6 hours. The colony repairs can happen without you. After she left, Nalira turned to Ji-hoon. This is it then, the protection I needed. Kyle and I will be safe with the military. Yeah, that's good. That's what you needed. But it means our arrangement ends here. Once we reach the council, there will be no reason for you to stay involved. You can go back to your normal life. Ji-hoon should have felt relieved. This was the exit he had been looking for. The end of an accidental commitment that had turned his quiet life upside down. But instead, he felt something twist in his chest. Right. Normal life. Solo cargo runs. No one shooting at me. Is that what you want? I don't know what I want anymore. Kyle, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. I know what I want. I want to stay with Ji-hoon. He is my friend. He makes Mommy smile. Kyle, it is not that simple, Nalira said gently. Why not? Adults always say things are not simple, but they are. You like each other. We work well together. Why must we separate? Because that is how these things work, Nalira said, but her voice lacked conviction. The 6 hours passed quickly. Ji-hoon supervised the transfer of their belongings from his ship to the military vessel while Somin worked on final repairs. The colonists threw an impromptu celebration dinner, insisting that Ji-hoon, Nalira, and Kale attend as guests of honor. Soon-hee raised a toast. To Ji-hoon Park, who reminded us that humans don't back down. To Nalira and Kale, who showed us that protecting others is always worth the risk. And to Haven's Edge, a colony that proved you don't need to be big to stand tall. The crowd cheered. Ji-hoon felt overwhelmed by their gratitude. These people had risked everything for strangers, simply because it was the right thing to do. It reminded him of his old crew, of the people he had lost. But this time, nobody had died. This time, the story had a happy ending. Later, as they prepared to board the military shuttle, Dae-hyun pulled Ji-hoon aside. You're making a mistake, the old man said bluntly. What do you mean? That woman and her boy. You're letting them go. It's not about letting them go. They need official protection. I can't provide that. That's not what I'm talking about, and you know it. I've been watching you three together. You're a family, whether you admit it or not. The way you look at her, the way she looks at you, the way that kid lights up when you're around. You've found something special and you're about to walk away from it. It's complicated. Everything worth having is complicated. My wife and I, we weren't the same species. We weren't even from the same planet. Everyone said it wouldn't work. We had 43 years together before she passed. Best 43 years of my life. You want to know why it worked? Because we chose it. Every day, we woke up and chose each other. I don't know if I can do that. Last time I let people get close, they died. And this time they lived. This time you all survived. Maybe that's the universe giving you a second chance. You going to waste it? Ji-hoon didn't have an answer. The military shuttle was efficient and sterile compared to his ship. Nalira and Kale were given a small cabin, and Ji-hoon had his own quarters. They would dock with the main patrol ship within an hour, then begin the journey to Council headquarters. Ji-hoon sat in his quarters, staring at nothing. His ship was still at Haven's edge, being repaired. He had agreed to pick it up later. Without Nalira and Kyle, it would be empty again. Just him and the quiet. The safe, lonely quiet he had chosen 6 years ago. A knock on the door interrupted his thoughts. It was Nalira, alone. Kale is resting. May I come in? Of course. She sat across from him, her posture formal and uncertain. We need to talk about what happens at the council. Okay. They will ask me to share the coordinates, to open the archive to multiple governments. It is a reasonable request. The knowledge there could help many people, but it also means giving up control. Once it is open, anyone can access it, for good or for ill. What do you want to do? I want to do what is right. I want to believe that making knowledge available to all is better than keeping it hidden. But I am afraid. What if I am wrong? What if opening the archive brings more harm than good? You can't predict the future, Ji-hoon said. None of us can. All you can do is make the best choice with the information you have. And from what I've seen, you make pretty good choices. Do I? I brought my son into danger. I put an entire colony at risk. I disrupted your life. You survived an attack that killed everyone else on your ship. You kept the coordinates safe under impossible circumstances. You trusted a stranger to help you. And yeah, you disrupted my life. But maybe my life needed disrupting. Nalira smiled sadly. You will make someone very happy one day, Ji-hoon Park. Someone who deserves your kindness and strength. What if I've already found that person? The words were out before he could stop them. Nalira's eyes widened. Ji-hoon? I know this is crazy. We've known each other for less than 2 weeks. We're from different species. We were literally shot at yesterday. None of this makes sense. But when I think about going back to my ship alone, to my old life, all I feel is empty. When I think about you and Kale, I feel alive. The courtship bond, Nalira whispered. You feel it too. I don't know what I feel. I just know I don't want this to end at the council headquarters. I want to see where this goes, if you'll let me. Nalira stood and walked to the viewport, looking at the stars streaming past. In Veltir culture, we do not rush into bonding. We take time. We learn about each other. We make certain. So we take time. I'm not asking you to marry me tomorrow. I'm just asking for a chance. She turned to face him, and there were tears in her eyes. You would want this, despite everything it would mean, the complications, the cultural differences, the danger that may still follow us? Yeah, I would want this. I do want this. Why? Because Kale was right. You do make me smile. Both of you do. For 6 years, I was just existing. You two made me start living again. Nalira crossed the room and took his hands. Then we will try, together, one day at a time. But Ji-hoon, you must understand, if we do this, if we truly pursue this bond, there is no halfway. Veltir mate for life. We do not leave. We do not give up. Are you certain you want that kind of commitment? Ji-hoon thought about Daehyun's words, about choosing each other every day, about second chances. I'm certain. Then I accept your courtship. And when the time is right, when we have had time to truly know each other, I will give you my answer about bonding. But know this, Ji-hoon Park, I am already certain of my answer. What is it? She smiled. Ask me again in 6 months. Give us time to be sure. Deal. They stayed like that, hands clasped, until Kale's excited voice came from the hallway. He had apparently woken up and heard everything through the thin walls. Mommy said yes. Mommy said yes. Nalira laughed and opened the door. Kale rushed in and hugged them both. I knew it. I knew when I whispered to you at the station. I knew you were the one. You are very wise for someone so young, Nalira told her son. I know, Kale said seriously. It is a gift. They stayed together in that small room, a human, a Veltir woman, and her child, building the foundation of something that would last forever. The journey to Galactic Council headquarters took 8 days with the military escort. 8 days that Ji-hoon would remember for the rest of his life. They were not days filled with danger or excitement, but with something more precious. They were days of simply being together. Lieutenant Park's ship had limited recreational facilities, but Kale found ways to make every space an adventure. He convinced the crew to teach him card games, learned military protocols just for fun, and somehow charmed the ship's cook into teaching him recipes from 6 different human cultures. The crew adored him. Nalira spent her time in the ship's small library, reading everything she could about human culture, history, and customs. She took notes in a small journal, asking Ji-hoon questions about things that confused her. Why did humans shake hands? What was the significance of certain foods? How did human families structure themselves? You are very thorough, Ji-hoon observed one evening as she filled another page with careful writing. If I am to understand you, I must understand where you come from, she replied. Veltir culture is built on preservation and understanding. I approach our relationship the same way I approach my work, with dedication and care. Am I a research project now? She smiled. You are the most important project I have ever undertaken. They talked for hours during those 8 days, about their pasts, their dreams, their fears. Ji-hoon told her about his crew, about the guilt he carried for surviving when they did not. Nalira told him about her husband, about the grief that never truly disappeared, but slowly transformed into something bearable. He would have liked you, Nalira said one night. He always said I needed someone who could match my stubbornness. He was gentle where I was strong, soft where I was hard. You are different. You are strong like me, stubborn like me. We will clash sometimes. Is that a bad thing? No, it is honest. I do not want someone who simply agrees with me. I want a partner, an equal. Then that's what we'll be. Kyle, listening from his bunk where he was supposed to be sleeping, whispered loud enough for them to hear. You two talk too much. Just kiss already. Kyle, Nalira said, embarrassed. What? That is what humans do when they like each other. I have been watching the crew. They talk about kissing all the time. Go to sleep, Ji-hoon said, trying not to laugh. Fine, but I am right, and you know it. After Kale finally fell asleep, Nalira and Ji-hoon sat in comfortable silence. Then, tentatively, she reached out and touched his face. Her hand was cool against his skin, her touch gentle. In Veltir culture, we share breath as a sign of intimacy. It is similar to kissing, but more sacred. May I? Yes. She leaned close, her forehead resting against his, their breath mingling in the small space between them. It was intimate in a way that surprised Ji-hoon, not sexual, but deeply personal, a sharing of self. In my language there is a word, she whispered. Kalesh. It means one who sees you truly and loves what they see. I think you may be my Kalesh, Ji-hoon Park. What's the word for someone who feels the same way back? There is no word. There is only the sharing of breath and the promise it implies. They stayed like that until Lieutenant Park's voice came over the comm, announcing they were approaching Council space. The Galactic Council headquarters was impressive even by the standards of space stations. It was massive, a city floating in orbit around a neutral moon, home to representatives from hundreds of species. Ships of every design crowded the docking bays. The diversity was overwhelming and beautiful. Security was tight. Nalira and Kyle were immediately taken to a secure area for debriefing. Ji-hoon was allowed to stay close but not in the room. He paced outside for 3 hours while diplomats and military officials questioned her. When she finally emerged, she looked tired, but relieved. They believe me. They understand the importance of the archive. Tomorrow I will present a proposal to the full council. If they accept it, the archive will become neutral territory, open to all species under strict preservation protocols. That's great. What happens after? I do not know. They have offered me a position here as cultural liaison. It is a good opportunity, stable, safe. Kale could go to school, make friends. We could have a normal life. But it means staying here, on this station. And you are a cargo hauler. You travel. You need freedom. I will not ask you to give that up for me. What if I want to give it up? Ji-hoon, be serious. I am serious. I've been thinking about it. These past few weeks, I've been happier than I've been in years. Not because of where I was, but because of who I was with. You and Kale. You're what I want, not the job. You would give up your ship? Your independence? I'd trade it for something better. A family, a purpose. Look, I'm not saying it would be easy. I'm saying it would be worth it, if you'll have me. Nalira's eyes filled with tears. You would do this? Truly? Truly. I'm all in, Nalira. Completely. She pulled him into an embrace, her smaller frame somehow seeming to surround him. Then I accept. I accept your courtship fully. 6 months from now, ask me again. Ask me to bond with you formally, and my answer will be yes. Why make me wait 6 months if you already know? Because Velthir tradition requires it. Because we should be certain. Because good things are worth the wait. I can live with that. Kyle found them like that and inserted himself into the hug without invitation. Does this mean Ji-hoon is staying? Does this mean we are family now? Yes, Nalira said. Yes, it means that. Finally. I was getting tired of waiting for you adults to figure it out. The next day, Nalira presented her proposal to the council. Ji-hoon and Kale watched from the gallery as she stood before representatives of hundreds of worlds and made her case. The archive should be open to all, she argued. Knowledge hoarded was knowledge wasted. But it should be protected, preserved, studied with respect for the civilizations that created it. The debate lasted hours. Some species wanted exclusive access. Others worried about security. But in the end, the human representative stood and said something that shifted the entire discussion. My people have a saying, rising tide lifts all boats. When one of us succeeds, we all benefit. When we share knowledge, we all grow stronger. This archive represents the wisdom of hundreds of civilizations. It should belong to all of us, not just a few. I vote to accept the proposal. One by one, other species joined. The vote was not unanimous, but it was decisive. The archive would become neutral territory under council protection. Nalira would lead the preservation effort as chief cultural officer, a position created specifically for her. After the session, she found Ji-hoon and Kale waiting outside. She was beaming. They approved it. All of it. The archive will be safe and open. You did it, Ji-hoon said. You actually did it. We did it. If you had not protected me, if Haven's Edge had not stood up to those mercenaries, I never would have made it here. This victory belongs to all of us. Lieutenant Park approached with news about Vorath and his mercenaries. They had been tried by council court and found guilty of multiple violations. They would spend the next 20 years in a council detention facility. Justice served, Lieutenant Park said. And speaking of justice, I have something for you. She handed Ji-hoon a datapad. The council is offering a bounty for your role in bringing down that mercenary operation, plus a reward from the Velthir government for protecting their citizen. Should cover that ship repair and then some. Ji-hoon looked at the amount and whistled. This is more than I make in a year of hauling cargo? Told you heroics pay off sometimes. She smiled and left them alone. That evening, they returned to Haven's Edge to collect Ji-hoon's repaired ship. Salmon had done excellent work. The ship looked better than it had in years, but standing in the cargo bay, looking at the familiar controls and storage containers, Ji-hoon felt different about it now. "I could sell it," he said to Nalira. "Use the money to buy a place near the council headquarters, somewhere Kale could have a yard to play in. Or you could keep it," Nalira suggested. "Use it for our work. The archive is on a planet, not a station. We will need to travel there regularly, and there will be other missions, other cultures to study and preserve. A ship would be useful." "You mean we'd travel together?" "Of course. Where you go, I go. That is what bonding means. Besides, Kale loves this ship. He has already named every cargo container." "He has?" "Oh, yes. That one is Boxy. That one is Chrome Friend. That one is Sits in the Corner. He is very creative." Ji-hoon laughed. It felt good to laugh. It felt good to imagine a future where this ship wasn't a lonely refuge, but a home filled with family. Months passed. Ji-hoon sold his old cargo routes and took on new work doing cultural transport for the council. He moved into a modest apartment near the council headquarters, but he was rarely there. Most of his time was spent either at Nalira's residence or on the ship, traveling to various worlds to collect artifacts and stories for the archive. Kyle thrived. He attended a school where human and alien children learned together. He taught his classmates about Veltir culture and learned about dozens of others in return. He made friends easily, his natural charm and curiosity making him popular. Nalira bloomed in her new role. She assembled a team of historians, scientists, and cultural experts from multiple species. The archive planet was slowly being transformed into a living museum, a place where the past could speak to the future. And through it all, Ji-hoon and Nalira grew closer. They learned each other's quirks and habits. They argued about small things and agreed on big things. They built a relationship not on romance alone, but on friendship, respect, and genuine partnership. 6 months to the day after their conversation on the military ship, Ji-hoon took Nalira back to Haven's Edge. The colony was thriving, having become something of a legend after standing up to the mercenaries. Tourists and traders stopped there specifically because of the story. Dae-hyun greeted them like family, insisting they stay at the lodge free of charge. That evening, as the sun set over the desert, Ji-hoon took Nalira to the fountain where Kale had played on their first visit. "I remember this place," she said. "Kyle got soaked. And you told me that the best things are rough around the edges." "I did say that, yes." Ji-hoon took her hands. "Nalira, 6 months ago, you told me to ask you again, to ask you formally. So I'm asking, will you bond with me? Will you let me be your partner, your equal, your Kalesh for the rest of our lives?" "Yes," she said without hesitation. "Yes, I will bond with you. I choose you, Ji-hoon Park. Every day, I choose you." They shared breath there by the fountain, a Velthir bonding ritual performed on a human colony world under a sky full of stars. Kyle, who had been hiding nearby with Dae-hyun and half the colony watching, ran out cheering. "I told you! I told everyone! I chose right! Mommy went on a date with a human and now we are family forever!" The colonists erupted in celebration. Someone brought out music. Someone else brought out food. Haven's Edge knew how to throw a party, and they threw one that lasted until dawn. Months later, after the formal bonding ceremony that combined Velthir and human traditions, Ji-hoon found himself in the archive for the first time. It was a planet of wonders, buildings that held the accumulated knowledge of centuries. Nalira walked beside him, pointing out different sections, her excitement infectious. "This is the historical wing. This is art and culture. This is science and technology. And this," she led him to a new section still being constructed, "will be dedicated to stories of cooperation between species, acts of courage and kindness that crossed cultural boundaries. Haven's Edge will have a place here. So will your story. Our story," Jihoon corrected. Yes, our story. The cargo hauler who said yes to a child's whispered request, the woman who trusted a stranger, the colony that stood up to darkness, the council that chose sharing over hoarding, all of it matters. All of it will be preserved. Kyle ran up to them, holding a data pad. I wrote a story for the archive. Do you want to read it? Of course, Nalira said. The story was simple, written in a child's hand, but it captured the essence of everything that had happened. It ended with a line that made Jihoon smile. And that is how my mommy went on a date with a human, and how we became family. And we lived happily ever after, traveling the stars and collecting stories, because the best adventures are the ones we share. Perfect, Jihoon said, ruffling Kale's hair. Absolutely perfect. They stood together in that archive. A family bound not by biology, but by choice. A family that proved love could cross any boundary, survive any danger, and build something lasting and true. The galaxy was vast and full of wonders, but the greatest wonder of all was standing right there, holding his hand. And Jihoon knew that whatever adventures came next, whatever challenges they faced, they would face them together, just as it should be. Just as Kale had known from the very beginning,